an environment of concern and truth with people who feel trust. Okay, so number one, when we blow it, stick with other Christians. Number two, stay with your responsibilities. Now, this might seem real common sense and practical, but when things kind of get out of control in our lives, that's when common sense goes out the window. And people start to do radical things, don't they? Even Christians, that's when we start binge drinking, or people walk out of a marriage, or start a shopping spree, or quit a job. It's like, well, I blew it, so I might as well just go all the way. That's the worst. You find yourself in a situation where things have fallen apart, and it's your fault. The first thing you do is you remember Peter here. What does Peter do? What was Peter's profession?
Fisherman.
He was a fisherman, and that's what he got. Peter could have easily sat on the beach with another friend and talked for the rest of his life doing therapy. Or he could have fallen into a depression and jumped into the water and drowned himself following Judas' path. But what does he do? He says, life goes on. I got bills to pay, a family to take care of, and my belly's kind of empty. I better do something about it. I better go out and work. Now, just because he went out and went fishing doesn't mean that his relationship with God all of a sudden was better. And we're not saying that work makes you right with God. But what it does is it minimizes the problem. It stabilizes the problem so that the Holy Spirit has got time to operate and work in our hearts. Because what happens when we just separate ourselves and we just give up on everything? We isolate ourselves and we fall into despair. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care of our health. We don't take care of our finances. And what happens when we don't do any of those things? Things get worse. The problems just multiply. Peter went out fishing. I don't know what you do. Do whatever you do best. If it happens, when it happens to you. Don't do anything radical. You go back to what you know how to do best and you give yourself to that 100%, and God will start to work in your life. Okay, let's go on. Next thing is the most important thing. Seek after Jesus Christ. This is beautiful. Classic Peter. Peter's not the brightest guy in the world. He doesn't even, he doesn't get it. This happened before. Remember, way back early in the ministry of Jesus, he told them to throw their nets on the other side. They got a big catch. But Peter, he doesn't get it. He says, wow, John, can you believe that? We've never done this. We've never thrown our nets on this side of the boat. And look at this fish. We should do this more often. And John just goes, it's the Lord. And it's like, bing, bing, bing. But there, it's beautiful. What does Peter do? He says, it's not about fish anymore, boys. I'm out of here. It's about Jesus. And he jumps into that cold lake, and believe me, it was cold in April. And he swims to shore. He doesn't care how he looks. He doesn't care what a fool, can you imagine swimming with his big cloak and all that? He didn't care. Only thing that matters to him is he wants to be in the presence of Jesus Christ. He doesn't care about the fish, the money, his buddies. He knows at this point he needs Jesus. And that's the same for us. You've got to consciously carve out time from your schedule to make Jesus Christ a priority. And we're all busy. I know that from the president on down to a person who works at McDonald's or wherever, everybody's busy. It's just a matter of priorities here. We got to be honest about that. We make time for what we consider most important. If you've blown it with the Lord, your time with Jesus Christ is most important. That's the time to get into the Bible. It's that time to really speak in conversational style with the Lord. It's time to take communion. It's time to worship with other Christians. That's got to be a priority. Now, the beautiful thing is when you take time to do that, He comes to you in the most interesting of all places. Now, when we think of God coming to us, what geographical location do we think of? Church, right? Got to be church. That's where Jesus lives. No, that's not where Jesus lives. He lives everywhere. Where does Jesus come to Peter? Not in the temple, not in the synagogue. He comes to him on the beach. And that's where he's going to come to you. You know, you stick around with Christian friends. You give yourself over to your meaningful work. You seek out Jesus on a daily basis. You know, he's not going to leap out of the pages of the Bible and all of a sudden appear to you. He's going to come through a friendship. He's going to come through a situation at work. He's going to come through something that happens every day, and you're just going to see his handprints and his fingerprints in all these different areas of your life, guiding you in the way that you should go. Now, that's beautiful, and it's all true. And I'm not going to use but, because so it's, oh, but here comes the bad news. And there is discipline involved, and this discipline is good. Dave read for us that discipline is never pleasant, but what does it lead to? A harvest. A harvest of. I'm from the Midwest, and I remember September and October, especially if you go through Illinois. That's just spectacular seeing those corn farmers in Illinois and Iowa going through the big fields with those huge combines and thousands of bushels. You know, that beautiful picture. You, through the discipline of the Lord, are going to harvest that kind of righteousness and salvation. God's going to work in your life. Now, Peter, I think Peter, when he got alone with the Lord, he probably, said, "Okay, Lord, I know what I did was wrong. I'll get it out right off the bat. Now let's have things go back to normal." And Jesus said, "Can't go back to the way it was." And that's what we want, isn't it? Have you ever done that? Have you ever said something totally outrageous to somebody that you wish you could have back? And you just want things to go back to the way they were before you said it. Get it? No. Even if they say, "I forgive you, I forget," it's recorded there. So you can't ever go back, but you can go forward, and forward can be better, and it is better. Jesus never allowed Peter to be the same, but you look at how he changed in the course of his life, and what a spectacular difference. In the Gospels, he's brash. He's always talking. He's the guy that's out in front, whether he knows what he's doing or not. And by the end of his life, he's the same stable, solid, humble man that you can find. Instead of being a bruised rear weed, walking back and forth in the wind, he's a pillar. And that's what he's going to do in your life too. Sometimes it's painful. And sometimes it can go on for many, many years. But he loves you too much not to work in your life. And there's good biblical precedence for this. Think about Moses. Moses got upset. He whacked that Egyptian, killed him out of anger, out of pride, out of this attitude, "I can do whatever I want. I'm Prince Moses." And God said, "You've got to change, man, before you can lead the people of Israel."